Hello. Jason Knoll here, Master Advisor with CEO Warrior. Super excited to kick off the year here. I know as you guys have created your budgets for 2024, super excited about where you're headed to, right? From a revenue perspective. What I wanted to come on today was kind of talk a little bit about how to get there, right? So we've created our revenue budget. We need to generate a certain amount of revenue. How do we get there, right? So I want to talk a little bit about training with our service experts, our field technicians, right? And why it's so important and the consistency of that. So talking about KPIs a little bit, just a 5% increase in your conversion and a 5% increase in your average ticket will boost your revenue phenomenally. You have no idea how much it will boost your revenue. So just those minor tweaks will really help you get to your revenue goal this year. And I want to talk a little bit about a training we have coming up. So we have a Road Warrior training coming up really soon. It's a 7-step process, customer service process for your field techs on how to run a service call, all the way from the beginning of building the relationship on the phone during a pre-call to where you park your truck, to how you address them at the front door, to all of the way through to completing the work and doing the finalization, and even the last step of identifying areas you could improve, right? So grading yourself. So during this process, we'll go day one. Day one, we'll start with mindset, right? None of this matters if they're not in the right mindset and they're not open to training, right? They got to be open, they got to be available, they got to want to learn, right? So it's all about mindset. We'll go into the 9 pillars day one, really get their mindset right before we really dive into the step process. Then once we get into the step-by-step process, we'll do one step at a time, right? We'll dive into it as trainers. I'll be one of the trainers that'll be there. We'll go step by step, and we'll practice those things, right? We'll role play those things. People don't love role play typically, but practice makes us perfect, right? And we can never get to perfect, but we need to practice to create that confidence, right? So it's super important that we run through the step process. That's what we'll be doing during the training, and practicing those things, right? And identifying some areas for improvement, which is super important. Again, I had talked about KPIs earlier. As we run through the process, as leaders and managers, do we know that we're running a consistent process in the field, right? And if we don't know that, how can we figure that out, right? So we'll talk about ride-alongs. We'll talk about evaluation forms. We'll talk about how to generate and understand your KPIs from conversion rates to average tickets, right? I talked about that earlier. That's something that we want the service experts to understand as well. So that way they understand why it's important, right? So we'll go through that step-by-step process. That really helps the leadership and the ownership to make sure we're running a consistent process, which is the only right way to do it from a customer experience, right? We want to have consistency. We want our guys running the same call, running the same call every single time. Again, we don't want it to be robotic, but we want a process, right? We want to make sure we hit bullet points. How do we know what our conversion rates are? How do we know what our conversion rates should be? How do we know what our average tickets are? Are we presenting 4 to 6 options on every call? And how do we know, right? That's one thing we will really dive into. 3 full days of service expert training. And this is good for technicians. This is good for operations and service managers. This is great for owners, because what you should understand the process as well, right? And how to hold them accountable. So super important for me, training wise, consistency. We'll come in, we'll teach you how to do the process. Then we'll teach you how to continue the process once you get back home, right? Which is the most important thing, is the consistency. Day one of our training, we really focus on the 9 pillars. Most importantly, the mindset, right? If you don't have the right mindset, none of the training really matters, right? So for me, what I've realized from a leadership perspective in the trades for a really long time is you can't really control the personality of the customer, right? Or you can't really control how they react. What you can control is how you react to that situation, right? So if we have the wrong mindset, I know when there's been some times, again, I've been in the day-to-day operations for a long time. There's been times that maybe a service expert, maybe their wife yelled at them or their spouse yelled at them that morning, right? Or the dog got out and it caused problems, right? How many times can a 15-minute problem ruin your whole day, right? So we spend a lot of time in day one really talking about mindset and getting your mind right, because otherwise you're not going to be open to the opportunity of training and really improving yourself, right? So we got to improve your mind first, make sure you're in the right frame of mind. Again, that's an activity, a challenge for all of us every day, including myself. It's something that we really have to create a grateful mindset to be able to really serve our customers in the right way, right? And that's a huge benefit to everyone. That's the right way to treat our clients. It's the right way to treat ourselves, right? It makes us a much happier people, and it's great for our leaders, right? Same goes for our leadership. Again, it's important you guys come to this training as well. Mindset is probably more important for you, right? Something I learned a long time ago was a lot of times my team followed my mood, right? I wasn't always in the best mood when I got in the morning, and that would trickle down to everyone else, right? That's my fault, right? That's my problem. So that's why we spend a lot of time on mindset, getting our mind right, and in the right frame of mind before we even start our day, right? So we will teach you how to do that. We'll go through power mantras, power songs, right? Do you have a song that you listen to that gets you in the right frame of mind, right? Do you meditate a little bit? What does that look like? We'll get really deep into that stuff. And from my experience, it's really, really important that we have the right frame of mind. All right, so I wanted to really dive in a little bit in something that we're going to teach you during this training. We're going to talk about KPIs a lot, right? Key performance indicators. I know I mentioned earlier on that just a 5% increase in your average ticket and your conversion rate will increase your revenue dramatically. It's super important. And again, we don't want to just say increase your KPIs, right? Your key performance indicators. We want to teach you what that means, right? How to calculate those things and how to improve on those things, coach you on how to improve those things, right? So during our 7-step process, if you hit all of the steps, you will increase those, guaranteed. A lot of times if we have, and I've noticed this in my past in leadership role, if we have conversion challenges or maybe average ticket challenges or even customers upset, a lot of times it's because we've missed a step, right? So we kind of have to start over fundamentally, really dive into the steps and making sure we're doing everything we're supposed to do, right? Sometimes we just got to have a reset. And those KPIs are super important. So we'll teach you how your conversion rate can improve, how your average ticket can improve, which in theory should improve your paycheck, right? Which is good for the service expert. It's good for the client, right? Because if we're not providing options, if we're not providing 4 to 6 options on every call, we're not serving the client the way we should be, right? We're not going to sell them something they don't need. We're not going to sell them. But what we do want to do is make sure we're addressing all of our options, because there might be something that they want, right? Rather than they think they need, right? That we're the professional. So we're going to present options. We're going to let them choose 100%. We just want to be able to present the options in the right way, and that will increase your conversion rates and your average tickets. And we will teach you how to do that during this training. And then the last point I want to talk about from a training perspective, this is a really, really big word for me in my history in this industry. Something I always fall back on is consistency, right? So we talk about training. We're going to teach you how to do it. We put a training schedule together, right? We're going to show you how to do all that. We get busy, and all of a sudden, what's the first thing that goes? And that's training, right? That's when we should be training the most. We have to stay consistent with our training. So consistency for me is we got to learn the process, right? Which will teach you the process. We will help you on how to train the process. The key is that you stay consistent with the process and you continue to practice it, right? So going back, taking this information back to your location, creating a training schedule, and practicing this stuff and role playing this stuff to perfection, to where it's just second nature, right? So a lot of times during my experience, people hate role play, right? I get it. People hate role play. I hear, this is different than when I'm in front of a customer, all those things. If they hate role play and they're not good at it, it's because they're not doing it, right? So yes, people do hate role play, but it's part of the practice, right? You can't just go right into the game. Me personally, as a leader, as a business owner, I don't want you practicing on my customers, right? I'd rather us practice on each other, practice with me, role play, right? Get perfected before I go to my client. I don't want you practicing on my clients. So I think that's super important that we stay consistent with the training when we get back. We keep the momentum going, right? We keep the fire. And we've got to stay consistent with that process, and you will see amazing results by doing that. So, super excited about our Road Warrior training coming up. This is beneficial to everyone. Hopefully this video has been helpful today. If you're a current Warrior member, get registered. You guys know how to do that. Get with your master advisor, and we'll help you get registered. If you're not a current Warrior member, we would love for you to click on the link below and have a conversation with one of our growth advisors, just so you can understand more, right? We'd love to get you live in person to this training, so you can really see what we're all about, really see what we do. So super excited about seeing you guys in person. Please click the link below. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be providing content on a weekly basis for you guys, similar to this. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all those areas, right? We have videos like this out all the time. That way you can learn more about us. Again, get registered, click the link below. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today, and I'm honored. So hope to see you soon.